Welcome back to the second and concluding part of this video. It's our sincere hope that you've done an honest self-appraisal and located and also started sealing the leaking points in your spiritual core to ensure that going forward, it becomes more and more unshakable as you travel through life. Today, as promised, we will quickly run through the remaining 3 scenarios that usually take us unawares, rattle us, and suck our core energy. In addition, we will look at the tools we can use to build an unshakable core and why this undertaking is vital to our short and long-term growth on the emotional and spiritual level. Our narrator Esther is ready to take us through the remainder of this inspiring journey. Have fun, and see you at the end.
Thank you, Solace. Welcome back, dear friend, and let's get right into it without much ado. Rejection touches a primal wound. It reminds our inner child of that past hurt that said they are unworthy, unseen, or unlovable. Though this hurt is often covered up by the ego's pride, this is a very pivotal arena where spiritual maturity can emerge. When you are rejected, ask, is this a divine redirection dressed as disappointment? In the emerging peace, breathe deeply, affirm your worth as unchanged, and recognize that rejection is often spirit saying, not this, something better awaits you. Dear one, you can grieve rejection momentarily without internalizing, because a strong core remembers that you are not what is withheld from you. Rather, you are what you become in response to it. Some long stretches of the spiritual journey can feel like walking in the dark without a map. We may feel lonely, unvalidated, and invisible. Most seekers put on a brave face, but this loneliness and doubt eats deeply into their core of self-identity and sufficiency. At times like these, their untrained ego, that safety-seeking inner child, whispers, "You're lost. This path is a mistake. Call everything off. Let's return to the familiar." But the soul remembers that solitude is not abandonment. It is the doorway to a sacred initiation. In these moments, return to your stable inner anchor by recalling a time you felt divinely held or guided and let that memory become your fuel. Also repeat silently, "I may not feel the light right now, but I am still in the light." These dark nights don't end your path. They deepen it and reveal a resilience born from trusting without evidence. One of the major pillars of building an unshakable core. We often forget that we are not immune to failure. In fact, nobody is, not even those on the spiritual path. We also forget that in truth, growth often demands risk and error, and in so doing allows the echoes of our weak inner voice to gnaw at our inner anchor. But when you mess up, the old mind pattern might attack with thoughts like, "See? You're a fraud. You failed." This feels like quicksand to the unwary and unaware. Each step from there digs deeper into the draining swamps of despondency. But the unshakable seeker learns to separate mistakes from identity. In that space, you can and should take full ownership, apologize or correct as needed, and still say, "This mistake is my mirror, not my final story." In that stable core, every misstep becomes a teacher, and every failure is a form of refinement. The goal isn't instant perfection, for perfection is within the journey itself. Rather, it's to keep showing up from love, even after falling. And love's got your back. I'm sure by now you are impressed by the articulated responses that the one who has trained their core to remain unshaken and react calmly and from their center has demonstrated and taught us through their composure and mastery within these common destabilizing scenarios. Thus, without a doubt, you can already see where you need to put in more work or maybe fine-tune things to get yourself to that state. Building an unshakable core is founded on the twin pillars of spiritual integration and conscious embodiment, as revealed in Part 1. You already have 5 powerful tools at your disposal to build and perfect your own unshakable core, ready to confront the sudden jerks and jolts of daily living starting now. They are as follows. Your spirit may be vast, but it lives inside a body. The triggers that seek to demolish your core land on your body via the nervous system, and that body has limits of tolerance. And if your nervous system is dysregulated or full of tense knots and blocks, even the most beautiful insights become inaccessible. Breathwork, grounding, cold water baths, either herbal or just plain, and gentle movement are not just spiritual accessories. They are sacred disciplines that unclog and retrain your nerves to stay sovereign in the present moment. A regulated nervous system makes space for your spiritual wisdom to be usable, not just theoretical. Being the grounding for any trigger event, it's really the bridge between mystical insight and mundane resilience. Tend to your body like a temple, because without it, your soul has no ground to stand on. And the core you're building rests and operates through a body that's harmoniously connected to your soul. As spiritual seekers, we often make the mistake of feeling it's all about consuming a lot of information. But what's the use of knowing but not bearing the fruits of such knowledge when the storms of life beset us? Is that not vanity? Wisdom isn't about data, it's about depth. And depth comes from the application of this garnered wisdom to make it applicable to life. Self-inquiry invites you to consistently question how what you know is being harnessed to practical use. It forces the much-needed stock-taking that makes you a tree that bears the proverbial fruits by which it is known. In self-inquiry, you ask, what part of me is reacting here? In journaling, stillness, practice-induced introspection, and inner dialogue, you expose the unconscious agreements you've made with fear, shame, or scarcity. With practice, this helps you create a pause, a space of conscious choice between stimulus and response. Over time, the reactive self gives way to the witnessing self. That witness is the seed of the unshakable core. Guard it jealously. No part of you is unholy, only unintegrated. And shadow work is not about fixing what's broken, but meeting what has been exiled. Meeting the angry you, the insecure you, the manipulative you, and the victim version of you. These are aspects that often activate in moments of stress or challenge, hijacking your spiritual clarity and rattling your inner core. But when brought into the light of love, they transform from saboteurs into allies. An unshakable core doesn't resist its shadows, it recruits them into wholeness. Only those who've touched their inner darkness can wield their light responsibly. Make every effort to identify aspects of your shadow self that need owning and redemption, for without that communion and cooperation, they will always show up unexpectedly to steal your light in any and every trigger situation. I hope you have watched our video on healing your inner child through love and compassion. When life gets chaotic, rituals keep you spiritually aligned, kind of like lighthouses in emotional storms. Whether it's morning prayer, lighting a candle for your ancestors, or just speaking affirmations in the mirror, these acts center you in meaning. Unlike what most people think, ritual doesn't have to be dramatic. It simply has to be intentional. Most profoundly useful rituals I know are silent. Over time, these regularly repeated actions and activities, yes, that's what we call rituals, carve deep grooves of remembrance in your spirit, so that even when you fall in the direction of your becoming. In spiritual droughts, they remind you that faith is a choice, not just a feeling. They keep you tuned to your highest self, even when the noise is loud, becoming your beacons to help you sail back to the safe shores of your core self during and in defiance of every emotional or spiritual storm or turbulence. They safeguard your blossoming, unshakable core. You were never meant to do this alone. Having wise mirrors, in the form of elders, mentors, or soul kin, helps you see the blind spots you can't touch alone. Community keeps you accountable not through punishment, but through love. It says, remember who you are when you forget. Even the most enlightened beings needed reflection. The spiritual path is both solo and shared. Walk it with those who hold your truth, so that when your fear threatens to speak louder than your faith, their balancing echo drowns out your fear and restores your faith, and in so doing, restoring your unshakable core. Having an unshakable core doesn't make you invulnerable. It makes you unbreakable. It gives you the grace to face real life with all its chaos, without betraying your center. Spiritual progress isn't measured in how high you float, but in how deeply you stay rooted. Like a resilient and flexible tree when life hits hard. That's when everything you have known and done is called into measure and questioned. By practicing with these tools, you develop something few people have: responsible power. Not brute force, not a cunning bypass, but the kind of calm that others feel in your presence. You become trustworthy, not just to others, but to your own future self. The paradox of preparedness is really about why the work is worth doing now, as you won't always get a warning before life tests your core. The spiritual path doesn't promise premonitions or escape routes. It offers tools and truths to carry into the unknown. The time to do this work isn't when you're already in the storm. It's before, in the quiet seasons, while things are still soft and open. For while many spiritual seekers are searching for tools, teachers, and transcendence, the real initiation comes in the mundane, in traffic, in heartbreak, at work, and in life's general uncertainty. These are not distractions from your path. They are your path to mastery and greatness, the testing ground where you build an unshakable core. From today, you have been empowered to enter life with greater confidence, guarded and guided by the unshakable core you now possess. The earnest expectation of creation awaits you. Go on and make it proud.
Thank you, Esther. Beloved, by now you have already probably come to the same conclusions that we have had all along. That conclusion is that building an unshakable core is not about never feeling triggered again. It's about what you do when the trigger comes. More than anything else, it's about remembering in every moment that you can choose truth over fear, integrity over impulse, and presence over panic. And when you do, even once, you begin to build a new internal identity, that of one who walks the path not only in theory but in fire. In that moment, you're not just a spiritual seeker anymore, you are a spiritual embodiment. A soul who walks prepared not because life is easy, but because you've trained in love. And I hope that training eventually makes you a trainer to others. We need more unshakable cores on Earth. That is the real second coming. The christening of the conscious human, and that human is you. Know this. And know peace. Like and subscribe if you found value in this presentation, and keep on being the earthly ripple of divine love as you remain blessed and renewed on all levels.